It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right, on the show today, the IPL and last-minute trades is still buzzing as we head into the mini-auction next month, but with Sanju Samson getting emotionally drained and KL Rahul not wanting to captain an IPL side after his bitter experience, we ask how difficult and challenging is the IPL on international cricketers and what caused the exhaustion. US President Donald Trump played host with a grand dinner at the White House that saw Cristiano Ronaldo among other biggies in attendance. What is the significance of this with FIFA World Cup 2026 in the radar? And India postpones their bilateral with Bangladesh to a later date. The relations between the two countries are on edge. But is there more to this than the obvious political unrest? But first, the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket, Pakistan made a winning start to the T20 Tri-Series. The hosts beat Zimbabwe by 5 wickets in the opener. Bowling first, Mohammed picked up 2 wickets to restrict Bangladesh to 147. Fakhar Zaman's 44 helped Pakistan get those 2 points. Moving to tennis and the Davis Cup finals, Belgium stunned France in the tie. First up, 86th ranked Raphael Collignon upset French world number 35 Corentin Moutet 2-6, 7-5, 7-5 to get the action underway. Zizou Bergs finished the job for Belgium with a win over Arthur Rindeneck. Moving to football and the World Cup qualifiers, Curaçao has become the smallest nation by population to qualify for the FIFA World Cup. The island nation secured their 2026 berth with a goalless draw over Jamaica. With just 156,000 residents, Curaçao's population is even less than many Indian towns. Scotland have qualified for men's FIFA World Cup after 28 years. They beat Denmark 4-2 in the qualifiers. Scott McTominay opened the scoring. Rasmus Højlund brought Denmark into the game. The match was level at 2-2 until stoppage time. It took 2 late goals for Scotland to script history. In the 2027 AFC Asian Cup qualifiers, already out of contention, India suffered another humiliating loss, this time to Bangladesh 1-0. Sheikh Morsaleen scored the only goal of the match with 0 wins across 5 matches. India are placed bottom of the points table. And we'll sum it up with chess. 5-time world champion Vishwanathan Anand will headline the Jerusalem Masters later this year. The event will bring an end to chess hiatus since the Ukraine war began. Along with Anand, other big names include Indian Grandmaster Arjun Erigesi and Ian Nepomniachtchi. The event is scheduled between 30th of November and the 3rd of December. Now, we're living at an age where stories of physical triumphs and struggles have been superseded by mental battles. Sportspersons the world over are more open and honest now about the challenges of mental health, about what goes on beyond the scorecard and the playing field. Take the example of Sanju Samson. On the face of it, it's a shocker. A captain of an IPL franchise asking to leave, moving to another franchise and without captaincy. But there is more to this story. In fact, KL Rahul has come out and spoken about the exhaustion a cricketer experiences, especially during the Indian Premier League, putting the focus on just how stressful an IPL gig is on any international cricketer, particularly an Indian who happens to captain his side. Let's start with Sanju Samson. It's a story of a boy who grew up in a franchise, went on to lead the squad, never won a title with them after repeated attempts, and now wants out because there's just been no luck. And maybe his patience grew thin, but that's not the complete picture. As we got to hear when Manoj Badale, the Rajasthan Royals boss, shed some light on the matter, he said he was pained to part ways with 2 people who had been the identity of this franchise, Rahul Dravid and, of course, Sanju Samson.
The first time in the past year he talked about moving out was probably in Kolkata, towards the end of the season. He was personally and emotionally drained. He cares deeply about RR, and I think having a worst season in 18 years took a lot out of him.
Emotionally drained. That's not a place anyone would want to continue being in. Because no matter how we view sporting contests, one that's a battle of skill, power, speed, and athletic abilities, if the mind is not tuned in, not in sync with the body, none of the above really matters. You could be primed to battle, but if your mind has checked out, where's the heart and soul in the fight? That's exactly what we could almost hear KL Rahul express too, just recently when he opened up about the whole IPL horrors during his stint as captain of the Lucknow franchise.
I realized that at the end of the IPL, I'm more mentally and physically drained than playing 10 months of international cricket. What I found hard as a captain in the IPL was the number of meetings, the number of reviews that you needed to do and explain at the ownership level.
He, of course, did not specifically mention a franchise there, but you had to know what he was talking about. You could almost sense the dread in his statement of when he felt emotionally exhausted. Take a look at the pictures behind me. You can see a hapless, defeated captain of a side being given a dressing ground by his own team owner right there on the stadium, even moments after the game, not giving him the time to process it all. And that's the learning IPL franchise owners, the management, the support staff even, all need to specially hone and realize. They need to understand these are international cricketers with a commitment towards national duty, commitment towards growth, and the need for some sense of stability. This is not to say the IPL doesn't mean much when compared to the national calendar, no. Every league, every tournament has its place in world cricket, but it cannot be the one window players are frightened to be a part of, that players fear to show their leadership prowess in, because the pressure is unbearable. Not from the sport itself or the tournament, but from people outside the ropes who do not know the sport well enough. That's KL Rahul's words, not mine. Sport has to give you joy, even in defeat. It has to give you a strong sense of purpose and a feeling of achievement. Some satisfaction even in losses. That's what brings out the best in everyone. These instances have only brought a sharper focus back onto player management and the relationship a cricketer shares with his franchise. Because truth is, you cannot sever ties with your country. That's the relationship that's forged through time, passion, the hunger to represent and succeed in. What can possibly make a cricketer feel the same way, at least close to that, about his franchise, year after year, despite one loss after another? That's the real challenge today. The White House rolled out its red carpet for a glittering, star-studded dinner, a night that looked less like a diplomatic event and more like a royal summit of the world's most influential people. A crown prince, a football federation president, a celebrated American golf star, a cluster of billionaires, and among them, one man who doesn't need a title to introduce himself, Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, all these guests were connected to one major cause, strengthening ties between Saudi Arabia and the United States of America. But Ronaldo's presence meant something bigger and far more strategic. And no, the significance isn't that Ronaldo is visiting the US after nearly 12 years. This was a move, a calculated high-stakes move with implications for politics, business, and the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Because this wasn't just a footballer at a state dinner, this is the beginning of a Trump-Ronaldo partnership. For Trump, co-hosting the 2026 World Cup is his moment to deliver a spectacle, a legacy project, a global showpiece under his presidency. And let's be honest, you can't make it grand without the biggest names in the sport. You can't fill stadiums, break viewership records, or electrify an entire nation without Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi is already here in the MLS, anchoring the American fan base, but to draw the rest of the world, you need someone like Ronaldo. The athlete with over 1 billion followers across social media platforms, the icon who still commands attention with a single post, a single appearance. And let's face it, Trump's family is already infected by the CR7 fever. His youngest son, Baron, is a massive Ronaldo fan.
My son is a big fan of Ronaldo, wherever Ronaldo is here. Ronaldo. And Baron got to meet him, and I think he respects his father a little bit more now, just the fact that I introduced you. So I just want to thank you both for being here. Thank you very much. Really an honor.
If that's the impact Ronaldo has on just one fan in the White House, imagine what Ronaldo's presence could mean for Trump's World Cup. But hold on, this admiration isn't one-sided. In recent months, Ronaldo has spoken about Trump with surprising warmth. In an interview, he said Trump could genuinely bring change to the world and even gifted the US president a signed jersey. Ever since returning to the Oval Office, Trump has been laser-focused on three things: tariffs, peace deals, and sports. In fact, if there's a major global sporting event happening, the odds are Trump is either attending it, influencing it, or talking about it. And with two huge events falling under his presidency, the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics and the 2026 FIFA World Cup, Trump wants nothing short of history-making moments. But there's a problem, and Trump has learned it the hard way. Despite all the hype, the expanded 32-team Club World Cup didn't deliver the atmosphere many expected it to. There were empty stands, excessive heat concerns, the worst of all, a lack of real cracking buzz. Trump knows the formula now. You need a star power to carry a World Cup through. And no footballer on earth brings crowds much like Ronaldo. Messi brings his fan base and Ronaldo the rest. That's why Ronaldo's appearance at the White House isn't a coincidence, it's a signal. A handshake between politics and football that could shape the success of the biggest sporting event on American soil. And watching all of this play out, some fans are already taking playful digs at Messi, saying this might finally be Ronaldo's World Cup. The deeper truth is this: proximity to power has always influenced sports, and now Ronaldo stands closer to the US president than any footballer not named Gianni Infantino. From diplomacy to investment to global fan engagement, the Trump-Ronaldo synergy is becoming impossible to ignore. The indication, reports say Trump referred to Ronaldo as the GOAT, essentially joining football's biggest debate and picking his champion. Whether Ronaldo wins the 2026 World Cup or not, one thing is undeniable: he has just gained the most powerful supporter a footballer can have on American soil. And Trump, in trying to build the grandest World Cup ever hosted, has placed his bets on the man who shaped a generation of fans. Politics and sport have never been separate, but this time they may be marching into the World Cup together with unprecedented force, with single-minded purpose. Maybe 2026 won't just be a footballing tournament, as Trump hopes to rewrite the script of global sporting influence with Ronaldo by his side. India and Bangladesh are walking on dangerously thin ice right now. The relationship between the neighbors is strained, and that diplomatic tension is bleeding straight into the sporting arena. India have officially postponed their home women's ODI and T20 series against Bangladesh. And the question is this only about politics, or is there something deeper and messier simmering underneath? Now, India was supposed to host the Bangladesh women in December. 3 one-day internationals, 3 T20 internationals, a massive series for both sides. Bangladesh would enter the tour high on confidence after a gritty showing at the recently concluded World Cup. India were gearing up to play at home for the first time since lifting the World Cup. And this would have been the only international assignment before the Women's Premier League next year, which means crucial prep, the needed momentum and squad assessment. But the BCCI has now decided to push the series to a later date. No explanations, just a quiet rescheduling that speaks louder than words. And we believe, as to many other prominent voices, that this is tied to the growing political tensions between the two nations. For weeks now, the political atmosphere between India and Bangladesh has been volatile. The former Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, has been sentenced to death and is currently on Indian soil. Anti-India sentiment is rising. Diplomatically, this is a fire waiting to unleash itself. And this isn't new. Ever since the protests in Bangladesh grew, sports has taken a bit of a hit. Earlier this year, the Indian men's white ball tour to Bangladesh was also deferred to 2026, with the BCCI citing international commitments. But everyone knew the timing wasn't coincidental. But there's another layer to this whole issue concerning the women's rescheduling, a layer that involves cricketing culture, attitude, and a worrying friction. And we here want to show you the full picture, bring in every possible perspective. Now, while the political situation is one reason there is also the growing discomfort around the general attitude that's coming out of the Bangladesh cricket camps. Women's captain Nigar Sultana has been accused by her own teammate of slapping the junior players. And instead of issuing a professional, measured response, debunking these accusations, she said this.
Why would I hit anyone? Am I Harmanpreet that I would go around hitting the stumps like that? In my personal space, I might bang my bat around. I might hit my helmet. That's my own business. But why would I do something like that to someone else?
A direct, unnecessary, unprovoked dig at India's captain Harmanpreet Kaur, a World Cup winning captain at that and a national icon, and someone who has already served her punishment for that 2023 outburst. Yes, Harmanpreet's actions in that ODI were unbecoming. That shouldn't have occurred in the first place. Smashing the stumps, calling umpiring pathetic and carrying it all forward during the ceremony afterwards. It's all unacceptable. And she faced the criticism for it. But there's a big difference between an emotional reaction, even though an aggressive one on a cricket field, and the allegation of physically assaulting teammates outside of it. Yet Sultana deliberately dragged Harmanpreet into the conversation that had no connection whatsoever. The question is why though? Deflection, insecurity, or just part of a bigger pattern of unnecessary hostility? A reason why she is getting slammed for it. And of course, none of this is new. This rivalry has followed a rather unpleasant and sometimes toxic trajectory across both the men's and women's face-offs over time, especially in 2015. Bangladesh beat India in an ODI series. It was a massive achievement, but instead of celebrating their own players, a Bangladeshi daily printed a disrespectful cartoon mocking the Indian team. In 2016, of course, before the Asia Cup final, Bangladeshi fans circulated a revolting photoshopped image showing Taskin Ahmed holding a severed head of MS Dhoni, a national captain, a global sporting legend. Then, of course, the repeated jibes, online harassment, mock posters, a pattern that pushed rivalry into a realm you cannot quite recognize. But this is where the problem lies. Cricket between India and Bangladesh should be fiery, as it should between any two competitive sides. It should be intense. There has to be a contest, and that's what makes sports eventful. But when that turns into hostility, and when banter becomes bitterness, and when rivalry turns into being disrespectful through acts or words, then the entire atmosphere around it collapses. And right now, the tension, politically and emotionally, is too high. It's supercharged, and India doesn't want a series where diplomatic insecurity, crowd behavior, off-field controversies dominate the cricket that become the main talking point rather than the contest itself. And that the heart of this story is one truth. Cricket thrives when relationships between nations are more stable, when respect flows both ways, when rivalry fuels the contest. Right now, India and Bangladesh are walking a tightrope. And until the political atmosphere cools down considerably, the attitudes soften, and that bitterness somewhat fades, cricket between the two will remain in the corridors of uncertainty. Time for last serve. Dozens of Palestinian amputees gathered in central Gaza for a football tournament. While their passion for the sport brought them together, their purpose was to send out a message of hope. Some of the players competing lost their limbs as a result of the war. Take a look at unmatched spirit of these players. That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
I was a revolutionary. I became a ruler. I claimed to protect my people. I terrorized them instead. I built palaces. I started wars. I lost everything. Some called me a defender of Arab pride. History remembers me as a dictator.